it actually is quite astonishing how something as simple as a case swap can transform an older gaming PC. I mean, take the PC that you're looking at right now, for example. It is hard to believe that just an hour ago, that system looked like this. Now, there are many reasons why you may want to do a case swap for your PC. Maybe it's an older system like this one right here, and you're looking for more of an updated design, or maybe you're redoing your office and your current setup doesn't match the way that your office is going to look. Maybe the PC is too big and you want a smaller one, or the opposite. Maybe it's too small and you need a larger case. Or if the more current situation has got you, hardware prices are insane, so it's more likely that you just want to keep your current system and update that one until you can afford, DDR5 RAM. But no matter what your reason is for wanting to do a case swap, you clicked on this video, so I'm gonna show you how you can transform your older gaming PC and turn it into something absolutely beautiful. Now, for the PC that we are going to be working on today, I went ahead and picked this up on Facebook Marketplace for like 250 bucks. It's a very basic system. It's a Ryzen 5 3600 CPU, a MSI 1650 graphics card, a B350 motherboard, 16 gigs of DDR4 memory, and all of that is crammed inside of this older case. And it is unbelievably filthy. But I think that's what makes it perfect for our case swap. Now, to get the party rolling, you are gonna wanna go ahead and take off your panels. I went ahead and took off my front panel here, but for the back panel, you're just gonna wanna go ahead and unscrew these back panels. A lot of times they have thumb screws, but sometimes they are just going to be normal screws. You're gonna need to go ahead and remove those so that you can take your back panel, slide it backwards, and pull it off. And you would just do the exact same thing for the front panel. The reason you want both panels off is because it is going to make it easier to unplug and remove cables from your system. You want it to be as open as possible. Now, it is also important, make sure that you keep your screws. You can resell these cases, and even if you can't resell these cases, you could either donate it or you can make sure to recycle it. E-waste is a huge problem. Don't be part of the problem, be part of the solution. So first up on our list of things to remove from our case here is our graphics card. Removing your graphics card is very easy to do. You just want to make sure that you do everything gently because you don't want to risk damaging your hardware. We are going to start by removing the screws that attach our graphics card to our case. Not every graphics card has power, but if yours does have power, you're going to want to go ahead and pull the tab down on top of the cable, and you're going to want to gently pull it out. And then you're going to want to go ahead and locate the PCIe tab at the back right-hand side of the PCIe slot. It's this little tiny black knob. What you're going to do is you're going to go ahead and you're going to push that in, and it will unlock your graphics card. And with the graphics card unlocked, you're going to want to go ahead and gently wiggle your card until it comes out. Don't pull too hard because you don't want to risk damaging your graphics card. So right now is like the perfect time to go ahead and snap a picture of your board. You want to take it straight on so that you can see all of the cables that go into your motherboard. The reason that you want that is because it's nice to have that to refer back to, because if you get stumped later on the road and you don't know where this cable goes, you can always refer back to that photograph to help you out. So now that we have our picture taken, we are going to start slowly and gently taking out all of the cables that are attached to our motherboard. We've got our photo to refer back to if we need to when we reassemble everything. When you get to this cable right here, which is your motherboard power cable, you are going to need to push in this latch on the right-hand side to go ahead and gently remove that. And we're gonna do the exact same thing with our CPU power up here. It also has a latch. You're gonna wanna make sure that you have that pressed down before you pull anything out. And with everything unplugged, we're gonna go ahead and we're going to unscrew all of the screws from our motherboard so that we can remove the board from the case. And now that we've got all of our screws out, we can go ahead and gently remove our motherboard from the case. And all that we have left to remove from this build is our power supply. It's very simple to remove a power supply. You just have 4 screws here in the back. And with those 4 screws out, we can remove our power supply. Now, this is a PC that was already built, so you are going to need to check the back to make sure that there are no, tie down zip ties, that type of thing that's gonna hinder you from removing these cables. And with all of our zip ties removed, we can now take our power supply out of the system. All right. And that is actually it for this case. There are 2 fans that are inside of here, but we are not going to be keeping them because they're filthy and we're going into a brand new case. We're gonna have brand new fans. So this whole assembly here is gone. We're completely done with it. Oh wait, there actually is one more thing that I completely forgot to tell you. It's this IO shield right here. Now this is the IO shield for your motherboard. What you are gonna wanna do is just go ahead and push that in and it's gonna pop right out. Now some motherboards have this attached to the motherboard, so you're not gonna have to worry about it. But most likely if you're doing a case swap, the motherboard is a little bit older and this is probably what you're gonna find. So you're gonna wanna make sure you take this out because you're gonna have to put it in your new case. So all of the hardware that we have going inside of our brand new computer is extremely filthy. This was absolutely a loved gaming PC. And because we're taking this out, we're putting it in a new system, now would be the perfect time to go ahead and clean your items. Now you don't have to do that, and we're not gonna cover how to clean your PC in this video. We're just gonna go ahead and I'll do this off camera and we'll come back to some squeaky clean items. And because editing is oh so fun, we're gonna go ahead and speed up the process. And just like that, everything's clean. I'm gonna be dead honest with you here. If you don't see or hear from me for a few weeks, it's because the amount of dust that was on here has made me sick. I'm probably gonna get infected with something. And because I'm most likely gonna get sick from this, that's like the perfect reason to like double check and make sure that you're subscribed to the channel because it's 100% free and I mean, I'd like to see you here more often. Now during the cleaning process, I went ahead and I removed the CPU cooler that was on our board, and that's because it is like unbelievably gross. And since we're gonna be going ahead and putting all of this in a brand new case, it's like the perfect time to do small upgrades if that is something that you are interested in. Obviously, you do not have to do that. You can keep the CPU cooler you had originally, but for our build today, we are going to be adding in this Boreas M2 by Gamdius. It has a LED screen on it. It's just a little bit more flash than the nasty stock CPU cooler. Now, if you are like me and you're going to be upgrading your CPU cooler, what you're going to do is you're going to follow the instruction manual inside of the box that your CPU comes with on how to install it properly. And if you're planning on keeping your old CPU cooler, but you would like to reapply thermal paste, you're gonna wanna go ahead and go to a place like Amazon, buy some cheap thermal paste, make sure you have that in hand, go ahead and remove your CPU cooler, clean off your old thermal paste because that's really gross and should probably be dried out. And you're gonna wanna go ahead and reapply thermal paste and then go ahead and remount your CPU cooler. But now it's time to go ahead and talk about case selection. This right here is an MATX motherboard. When choosing the case that is right for you, it is very important that you pay attention to what motherboard size you have. For instance, this is an MATX board. If you love an ITX case, this will not fit in your ITX case, but an MATX board will fit into MATX cases and ATX cases. So it's important to make sure that you are picking the right case. If you don't know what size motherboard you have, it's very simple. There is going to be a model number somewhere on the board. It's usually right above the PCIe slot or to the right-hand side of your CPU. And for the case selection we are going with today, this right here is the Johnsbow D200. The Johnsbow D200 is an extremely good case for this build. It is an MATX case. We can have up to 7 fans inside of here. We do have wraparound glass, so it is unobstructed view of our hardware. And we get this really cool digital temp display down here at the bottom. Now, just like we took apart our previous case, we're gonna take this case apart the exact same way by removing the glass up front and our back panel. Now, before I reinstall my motherboard, this case was missing 2 standoffs. This one right here and this one up here. Now, they do come with the included kit of screws when you purchase your case. You're just gonna wanna make sure you hand tighten them into the screws and then use the included tool to fasten them down. Obviously, every case is a little bit different, but you're gonna wanna make sure that your board is securely fastened. Now, all you gotta do to put your motherboard back in is do exactly what you did to take it out. You're gonna go ahead and line up all of your standoffs and you're gonna screw it back down. Now, it is so much easier to fasten down your motherboard with the case laying down, but just for the video so you can see everything, I am installing it with the case standing up. Now your case is going to come with a whole bunch of different cables already inside of the unit. You're going to want to make sure that you fasten these to your motherboard now. You can refer back to that picture you took earlier to make sure that you're plugging everything in correctly. Now there is a possibility that your board is so old that it can't utilize everything that is inside of the case. For instance, this motherboard does not have a USB Type-C header, and there is a USB Type-C port inside of this case. Now you can choose either to ignore it, it's not going to hurt anything if you don't use it, but you're obviously not going to be able to use your USB-C port on your case, or you can buy an adapter that goes from your USB header to, it's a USB to USB-C header. They're like $8 on Amazon. Now typically I would pick one of those up for this build, but I'm not going to, only because our CPU cooler here has an LED screen in it, and that is going to go to one of our 2 USB headers, and the other USB header is going to go to the USB on the case. Now undoubtedly the most frustrating part of plugging back in your cables is your F panel for your power pins and your reset switch and everything. You're going to want to refer to the diagram on screen on how to plug them back in. They're pretty much the same for every single motherboard that exists. If it is not like this, you are going to want to research your board and find what you need to do to make sure that you can utilize the power switch on your case. But a lot of the time there is a diagram that they have included on the board that you can just follow. And once we have all of the cabling from our case to our motherboard, it's time to go ahead and reinstall our power supply. And once you have your power supply firmly reattached to your case, you're gonna wanna go ahead and replug in your CPU power and your motherboard power. Believe it or not, we're actually almost done. All we have left to do is install our cooling, which I mean our fans. We need to have fans inside of here, and our graphics card. Now for fans, I picked up some fans that I've used before, these Dark Flash INF34s. These are really cool. They have a really interesting RGB effect that is unique, and they have that infinity mirror that people like. I think it's a little tacky, but people really love them, so we're just gonna put them in here and we're gonna see what happens. Now, installing fans is insanely easy. They have screws that come with the fans that you decide to choose, or if you decided to go ahead and choose a case that already has fans in it, you're already set. You just wanna make sure that you plug those into the fan header on your motherboard. And if you don't feel like using the fan headers on your motherboard, you can buy a fan controller on places like Amazon to control all the RGB fans that you have for your build. Now, RGB is not everyone's cup of tea. Not everyone enjoys a whole bunch of colors inside of their case, but if you are going to be buying a case that has a whole bunch of ARGB fans in them, you're gonna wanna make sure that you have an ARGB header on your motherboard. If you don't, you're not going to be able to power the RGB from the fans that either you bought or that came with the case. But a good way to get around that is to pick up one of these right here. What this does is it plugs into SATA power, and it has an ARGB header on the other side, and you can manually control the RGB for your fans. It's a good way to get around having RGB while not having an ARGB header on the board. And that's what we have to do today, because I don't have an ARGB header on this B350. Now, installing fans is unbelievably simple. You're just going to go ahead and place them where you would like them to be and screw them down. These ones are a little bit easier than most. They do daisy chain together to make it so that they come in like bricks of 3, and I can just add them into the case. All right, boys and girls, we are almost done. We just need to go ahead and remove the PCIe slot covers for our graphics card so that we can slide these things in perfectly. They are just the covers that are in the back of the case where your graphics card goes. And we're gonna go ahead and line our graphics card up to our PCIe slot. And once you have it lined up, we just go ahead, gently push to lock it into place. And then we use the included screws to go ahead and mount our graphics card to the case. Now, this case does have an included GPU anti-sag bracket. You just go ahead and tighten that up. So now we'll go ahead and attach our GPU power. Let's go ahead and get our panel on, and let's see how this thing looks.
See you looking at me, now go ahead and move that body.
crazy to see just how different and how big of an impact a case swap can be for your system. Now, I'm not taking anything away from the older case and the older design. It obviously needed a cleaning, but for me, my personal preference is I would much rather have a computer that looked like this than have a computer that looked like it did. Obviously, for the build that I put together here, I did go a little bit more on the expensive side. It was around $200 for the fans, the CPU cooler, and this particular case. You can obviously go much cheaper and find a case that has included fans in it, so you don't have to purchase extra fans, or you could keep the stock cooler, or you could go ahead and buy like a $20 CPU cooler to add extra cooling to your build. It's all up to you. You can spend as little or as much as you'd like, but I really feel like because of hardware prices and people kind of holding off on building brand new systems, this is a great way to refresh your older system and get ready for, if and when all the hardware prices kind of normalize, you can go ahead and just throw in a brand new CPU, motherboard, RAM, and graphics card inside of here, and now you already have a really, really high power, really, really attractive looking PC. So for the PC that we put together today, it was an extremely easy case swap. It was really just pull everything out, obviously clean it because it was extremely filthy, and then put it inside of our brand new case here. But that's not always the case. Sometimes with like Dell Optiplexes or older pre-built systems, they have proprietary hardware inside of there that will make it more difficult to do a case swap. It is important to research your particular PC to see if there are any like cable adapters or things like that that you do need to purchase. Also, something that I have run into in the past is the power supply cable lengths. Sometimes with older systems, the cables were built with the exact amount of length that they need to power that particular system. So you're not going to have the ability for your cables to reach around a lot of these larger cases. In those particular instances, I would maybe recommend buying a brand new power supply, or two, getting cable extensions so that you do have enough cable to make sure everything's plugged in properly. Now, obviously, I don't know everything, and if you are somebody watching this video who has done a case swap and maybe run into an issue that I did not cover inside of this video, I would love it if you'd let us know in the description down below so that people can see that and maybe avoid having the exact same issue. And I do have a Discord server full of people who are probably a whole lot smarter than I am, and if you are doing a case swap and you are a little nervous or you're running into trouble, please consider joining that Discord server. I will leave a link to that down in the description below. We would be more than happy to help you. If you did have a little bit of fun with me here today, please consider hitting the subscribe button as well as smashing that like button. It goes a long way in helping my little channel. Plus, I'd love to see you here more. If you need more how-to guides, please consider hitting one of the videos down below. And as always, no matter where you are in the world, I hope that you are having the most fantastic day, and I'm going to see you right here for the next video. Because I'm free, nothing's worrying.